The escape pod hit the ground like a fallen star. It tore through the wheat fields of Six and left a trail of black smoke behind it. The sound of the crash echoed across the small human colony, and people came out of their homes to see what had happened. Cole was working in his repair shop when he heard the noise. He put down his tools and walked outside. The smoke was rising from the fields about half a mile away. Other colonists were already running toward it, but moved faster than any of them. His legs carried him across the ground with a speed that did not match his calm expression. He reached the crash site first. The escape pod was designed. He recognized the smooth curves and the glowing blue metal. They were one of the most powerful species in the galaxy. They ruled over hundreds of worlds and looked down on humans as primitive creatures. Had never seen one of their ships this close to the frontier. The pod was broken open on one side, climbed through the gap and found a young woman inside. She was not human. Her skin was a soft blue color and her eyes were silver like polished mirrors. Blood was running down her forehead and her breathing was weak. She wore clothes that looked expensive, covered in symbols that did not recognize. She opened her eyes and saw him. Fear filled her face. "Stay away from me," she said. Her voice was weak but full of authority. "I am Princess of the Empire. You will not touch me." Ignored her words. He checked her injuries with careful hands. She had a head wound and some broken ribs, but nothing that would kill her. He lifted her from the pod as gently as he could. "Put me down," she demanded. "I order you to put me down." "You can order me around after I stop you from bleeding to death," said. His voice was calm and quiet. The other colonists arrived and stared at the scene. A human man carrying a princess in his arms was not something they expected to see. Walked past them without stopping. He took her to his workshop and laid her down on a clean table. He found his medical supplies and began treating her wounds. Watched him with confusion in her silver eyes. She had been taught all her life that humans were weak and simple. They were farmers and laborers, nothing more. Yet this human moved with confidence and skill. His hands were steady and his eyes were sharp. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. "Because you need help," said. "That is not a reason. I am your kind should fear us." Looked at her for a moment. There was something in his eyes that she could not read. It was gone before she could understand it. "I do not fear anyone," he said softly. "Now hold still, this will hurt." He set her broken ribs with practiced hands, cried out in pain but did not look away from his face. There was something strange about this human. His movements were too precise. His reactions were too fast. He worked like someone who had treated wounds many times before and not simple farming accidents. When he was finished, gave her water and a blanket, drank slowly and tried to understand her situation. She was alone on a primitive human world with assassins hunting her. Her family was dead. Her empire had fallen to traitors. She was the last of her bloodline and she had nowhere to go. "I need your help," she said. The words felt strange in her mouth. She had never asked a human for anything. "You already have it," said. "No, I mean I need protection. There are people coming for me, dangerous people, assassins from my own empire. They killed my family and they will not stop until I am dead too." Sat down across from her. His face showed no emotion. "Tell me everything." Told him about the coup. A faction within the empire had grown tired of her family's rule. They wanted power for themselves. 3 days ago, they attacked the royal palace and killed everyone inside. Escaped only because her personal guard sacrificed himself to give her time. She fled in the escape pod and set course for the most remote place she could find. She thought the humans would be too primitive for her enemies to search here. "They will find me eventually," she said. "They always do. I just need time to contact my allies. There are still loyal forces in the Empire. If I can reach them, I can fight back." "How long do you need?" asked. "A few days, maybe a week." Nodded slowly. "Then you can stay here. I will keep you safe." Almost laughed. This simple human mechanic thought he could protect her from assassins. The assassins were elite warriors with genetic enhancements and advanced weapons. They had killed trained royal guards like they were nothing. What could one human do against them? But she had no other choice. She nodded and accepted his offer. "Thank you," she said. The words felt even stranger than asking for help. Stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at the night sky with an expression that could not understand. For a moment, she thought she saw something cold and hard in his eyes, something that did not belong to a simple mechanic. "You should rest," he said. "I will watch the door." Lay back on the table and closed her eyes. She was too tired to argue. Sleep took her quickly, and she dreamed of fire and blood and the screams of her family. Stood at the window all night. He did not sleep. He watched the stars and waited. Somewhere up there, ships were coming. Hunters were on their way. They thought they were coming for an easy kill. They had no idea what was waiting for them. A small smile crossed his face, but it did not reach his eyes. It was the smile of a man who had been running from his past for a very long time, a man who had hoped he would never have to become what he once was. But hope was a luxury he could no longer afford. He flexed his hands slowly and felt the old strength still waiting inside his bones. The monster he had tried to bury was waking up again, and this time he would not hold it back. The princess had asked if he could defend her. She had no idea what she had just unleashed. The assassins came on the second night. Heard their ship before he saw it. The sound was quiet, almost silent, but his ears caught the low hum of engines cutting through the atmosphere. He stood at the window and watched three dark shapes descend from the sky. They landed in the forest at the edge of the colony, hidden from the sleeping humans. Was still resting on the table behind him. Her wounds were healing quickly. Bodies recovered faster than human bodies. By morning, she would be able to walk on her own. Walked to her side and touched her shoulder. She woke instantly, her silver eyes wide with fear. "They are here," said. Sat up and looked around. Her hands were shaking. "How many?" "3. They landed in the forest." "3 elite assassins." Her voice was hollow. "We cannot fight them, we need to run." Shook his head. "Running will not save you, they will track you wherever you go. We end this here." Stared at him like he was insane. "You do not understand. These are not ordinary soldiers. They are the best killers in the Empire. They have genetic enhancements that make them faster and stronger than any species in the galaxy. One of them could kill 100 human soldiers without breaking a sweat." Looked at her with calm eyes. "Then I will have to be careful." He walked to the back of his workshop and moved a heavy metal shelf aside. Behind it was a hidden door that led down into a basement. Had not noticed it before. "Go down there and stay quiet," said. "Do not come out until I tell you." "What are you going to do?" "I am going to check on things." Walked out the front door before she could argue. Wanted to call after him, to tell him he was walking to his death, but something stopped her. There was a look in his eyes that she had not seen before. It was cold and focused and completely without fear. She climbed down into the basement and closed the door above her. The darkness wrapped around her like a blanket. She could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her chest. Outside, walked through the empty streets of the colony. The humans were all asleep in their homes. They had no idea that death had come to their quiet little world, intended to keep it that way. He moved toward the forest with silent steps. His body remembered old patterns, old training that he had tried so hard to forget. His muscles loosened. His breathing slowed. His mind became clear and sharp like a blade. The first assassin was waiting at the edge of the trees. He was tall and thin, with dark blue skin and eyes that glowed faintly in the darkness. He held a plasma blade in one hand, the weapon humming with deadly energy. The assassin saw and smiled. "A human," he said. "Have you come to beg for the princess, or perhaps to offer her in exchange for your miserable life?" Did not answer. He kept walking forward. The assassin's smile faded. "Stop where you are, human. I will not ask twice." Stopped about 10 feet away from him. He looked at the plasma blade. He looked at the assassin's stance, at the way he held his weight, at the small movements of his eyes. "You are the scout," said. "The other two are circling around to search the buildings." The assassin's eyes widened slightly. "How do you know that?" "Because it is what I would do." Moved. One moment he was standing still. The next moment he was right in front of the assassin, his hand wrapped around the alien's wrist. The assassin tried to react, tried to bring his blade around, but was faster. He twisted the wrist and heard bones crack. The plasma blade fell to the ground. The assassin screamed and swung his other arm at its head, caught the punch and drove his elbow into the alien's throat. The assassin stumbled backward, choking. He could not believe what was happening. He was a genetically enhanced warrior. He had killed dozens of targets across the galaxy, and this human was beating him like he was nothing. Did not give him time to recover. He grabbed the assassin's head with both hands and twisted hard. The crack of breaking neck echoed through the silent forest. The body fell to the ground and did not move again. Stood over the dead assassin and felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, just the cold clarity of a job half finished. He picked up the plasma blade and walked deeper into the forest. The second assassin found him 10 minutes later. She was faster than the first one and smarter. She attacked from behind, her blade aimed at spine, but heard her coming. He spun aside and cut her arm off at the elbow with a single stroke. She screamed and fell to her knees, ended her pain with a quick thrust through the heart. The third assassin ran. He had seen what happened to his partners through his tactical display. He had seen a human kill 2 elite assassins in less than a minute. He did not understand how it was possible, but he knew he had to warn the others. Caught him before he reached his ship. He brought him down with a flying tackle and pinned him to the ground. "Send a message to your masters," said. His voice was cold. "Tell them the princess is under my protection. Tell them what happened here tonight. And tell them that if they send more assassins, I will kill them all." The assassin's eyes were wide with terror. "What are you? You are not human. You cannot be human." Leaned close to his face. "I am exactly what your empire tried to create and failed. I am what happens when you push humanity too far." He snapped the assassin's neck and let the body fall. Walked back to his workshop as the first light of dawn touched the sky. He found waiting for him at the door. Her face was pale and her hands were still shaking. "I heard the screams," she said. "What happened out there?" "The assassins are dead," said. "All 3 of them." Stared at him. She looked at his hands, at the blood on his clothes, at the cold expression in his eyes. This was not the gentle mechanic who had saved her life. This was something else entirely. "What are you?" she whispered. Walked past her into the workshop. He sat down heavily in a chair and stared at his bloody hands. For a long moment he did not speak. "I am something that was supposed to die a long time ago," he said finally. "Something that should have stayed buried." Did not know what to say. She had asked a human to defend her, thinking he would be useless. She had no idea she had found a monster wearing human skin. And somewhere in the darkness of space, a dying transmission was being received by High Command. The assassin had managed to send one final message before found him. The message contained only 2 words: "Prometheus won lives." The response came faster than expected. 3 days after the first assassins died, a battleship entered the system. It hung in orbit like a dark cloud, blocking out the stars. The colonists looked up at the sky and saw death waiting for them. A shuttle descended from the battleship and landed in the center of the colony. 12 warriors stepped out, each one armed with plasma rifles and wearing heavy combat armor. They were led by a tall commander with scars across his face and hatred in his eyes. The commander activated a speaker that made his voice boom across the entire settlement. "Humans of this colony," he announced, "you are harboring a fugitive of the Empire. The princess is a criminal who must face justice for her crimes. You will hand her over to us immediately. If you refuse, we will burn this colony to the ground and everyone in it." The colonists gathered in the streets, terrified and confused. They were simple farmers and workers. They had no weapons that could fight soldiers. Some of them looked towards workshop, where the princess was hiding. They wondered if one life was worth all of theirs. Stepped out of his workshop and walked toward the soldiers. He moved slowly, his hands empty and visible at his sides. The colonists watched him with wide eyes. The commander pointed his rifle at. "Stop there, human. Are you the leader of this colony?" "No," said, "I am just a mechanic." "Then go back to your hole and send us someone who can make decisions." Kept walking. "The princess is under my protection. You will not touch her." The commander laughed. His soldiers laughed with him. "One human thinks he can stop 12 of us. Your species really is as stupid as they say." "Your assassins thought the same thing," said. "They are dead now." The laughter stopped. The commander's eyes narrowed. "You killed our assassins." "Yes, and I will kill all of you if you do not leave this planet." The commander raised his rifle. "Enough of this. Soldiers, take him alive. I want to know how he killed our people." 4 soldiers moved forward to grab. They expected no resistance from a simple human mechanic. The first soldier reached for his arm, grabbed his wrist and pulled him forward, driving his knee into the soldier's stomach. The armor cracked from the impact. Before the soldier could fall, took his rifle and fired 3 shots into the other advancing soldiers. They dropped to the ground, dead before they knew what happened. The remaining soldiers opened fire, moved between the plasma bolts like water flowing around stones. He was too fast, too precise. Every shot missed him by inches. He closed the distance to the next group and began to kill them with his bare hands. The colonists watched in shock. They had never seen anything like this. Was not fighting like a human. He was fighting like something from their worst nightmares. He broke bones with single strikes. He dodged attacks that should have been impossible to see. He tore through armored soldiers like they were made of paper. In less than 2 minutes, 11 soldiers were dead on the ground. Only the commander remained. He was on his knees, his weapon broken, his arm hanging at a strange angle. Stood over him with blood dripping from his hands. "What are you?" the commander gasped. "I am Prometheus I," said. "The only survivor of Project Prometheus. Tell your masters what you saw here today. Tell them that if they come for the princess again, I will come for them." He let the commander live. The wounded crawled back to his shuttle and escaped into the sky. Turned to face the colonists. They were staring at him with fear and confusion. He had lived among them for 5 years. They thought they knew him. Now they realized they knew nothing at all. Pushed through the crowd and approached. Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. "You need to tell me the truth," she said. "All of it." Nodded slowly. "Come with me." They walked back to his workshop, away from the staring eyes of the colonists. Sat down and began to speak. 20 years ago, the human military created a secret program called Project Prometheus. They wanted to make soldiers who could fight against the stronger species of the galaxy. They took children from orphanages, children that no one would miss, and they experimented on them. Listened in silence. They injected us with genetic modifications. They enhanced our muscles, our bones, our nervous systems. They trained us in every form of combat. They broke us down and rebuilt us into weapons. His voice was flat and empty. Most of the children died. The modifications were too extreme for their bodies. Out of 200 subjects, only 1 survived, me. "What happened to the program?" asked. "It was shut down. The government decided that the project was too dangerous, too unpredictable. They tried to kill me and destroy all the records, but I escaped. I ran to the frontier, to the most remote place I could find. I became a mechanic. I tried to forget what I was. He looked at his hands. They were shaking slightly. For 5 years, I lived in peace. I fixed machines and helped my neighbors and pretended to be normal. I thought I could bury the monster inside me forever. But I came along, said softly. Yes, and now the monster is awake again. Was quiet for a long moment. She thought about everything she had been taught about humans. Weak, primitive, insignificant. She had believed those lies her entire life. Now she understood the truth. Humans were not weak. They simply chose not to show their true strength. They hid their monsters behind smiles and kindness and simple lives. But when they were pushed too far, when they had something worth protecting, they became more dangerous than any species in the galaxy. I am sorry, she said. I am sorry for bringing this to your door. I am sorry for waking up the thing you tried to bury. Shook his head. Do not apologize. I made my choice. I could have turned you away. I could have hidden and let them take you, but I did not. Why risk everything for a stranger? Looked at her with eyes that held ancient pain. Because I spent 20 years being a weapon for people who did not care about me. When I escaped, I promised myself that I would never fight again unless it was for something I believed in. He paused. Protecting the innocent is something I believe in. Protecting you is something I believe in. Felt tears forming in her eyes. She had never met anyone like this human. He had every reason to let her die. He had every reason to run away and protect himself. But he chose to stand and fight. Outside the workshop, the colonists were gathering. They had seen what could do. They had seen the truth about the gentle mechanic who had lived among them for years. And now they had to decide whether to trust him or fear him. The answer came when a young man stepped forward. His name was Danny, and had fixed his tractor many times over the years. We are with you, Danny said. Whatever you need, we will help. One by one, the other colonists nodded their agreement. They were scared, but they were not running. They had seen a monster today, but they had also seen a protector. Looked at them with something close to gratitude in his eyes. Thank you, he said quietly. But he knew this was just the beginning. The wounded commander would report back to the Empire. More soldiers would come, perhaps a whole fleet. The war was just getting started. The warship arrived at dawn. It was massive, 5 times larger than the battleship that had come before. Its shadow covered the entire colony as it moved into position above the planet. The colonists looked up and saw their death written in metal and fire. A message crackled through every communication device in the settlement. The voice was cold and official. This is Admiral of the Imperial Fleet. You have 12 hours to surrender the fugitive princess and the human weapon known as Prometheus 1. If you refuse, we will begin orbital bombardment. Your entire colony will be reduced to ash. There will be no further warnings. The message ended. Silence fell over the colony. Stood in his workshop, staring at the map of the planet he had pulled up on his screen. Was beside him, her face tight with anger and fear. They will do it, she said. Admiral was one of the leaders of the coup. He killed my father with his own hands. He has no mercy. I know, said. Then what do? We cannot fight a warship. Even you cannot stop orbital bombardment. Turned to face her. His eyes were calm, but she could see the gears turning behind them. He was thinking, planning, searching for a way out. Tell me about your allies, he said. You mentioned that there are still loyal forces in the Empire. Nodded, yes. Many of the outer systems refuse to accept the coup. They are waiting for a chance to fight back, but they do not know I am alive. The coup leaders announced that my entire family was dead. Can you contact them? Maybe. If I can access a long-range transmitter, I can send a coded message that only my loyalists would recognize. But it would take time for them to reach us. Days, maybe weeks. We do not have weeks, said. We have 12 hours. He turned back to the map and studied it carefully. The warship was in high orbit, far beyond the range of any weapon the colony possessed. The only way to stop the bombardment was to disable the ship itself, and the only way to do that was from the inside. "I am going up there," said. Stared at him. "What?" "The assassin shuttle is still in the forest. It has clearance codes that will get me past the warship's defenses. I will board the ship and disable it from within." "That is suicide. There are thousands of soldiers on that ship." Smiled slightly. "I have been on suicide missions before. I am still here." Grabbed his arm. Her grip was surprisingly strong. "No, I will not let you die for me. I have lost too many people already." Looked at her hand on his arm. For a moment his cold expression softened. "I am not planning to die," he said. "But even if I do, it will be my choice. My life, my decision." "Why?" demanded. "Why would you throw your life away for people you barely know? For a princess from an empire that treats your species like dirt?" Was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with old pain. "When I was a child, before Project Prometheus, I lived in an orphanage. It was a cold, hard place. The people who ran it did not care about us. We were just numbers to them, just products to be sold to the highest bidder." He paused. "One night there was a fire. The building was burning and the adults ran away to save themselves. They left us children inside to die." Listened in silence. "A man came into the flames to save us. He was a stranger, just someone passing by who saw the fire. He carried us out one by one, even though the roof was collapsing around him. He saved 12 children that night, and when the last child was safe, he went back in to check for more." His voice cracked slightly. "He did not come out. The building fell on him. He gave his life for children he had never met." He looked at with eyes that held deep sadness. "I never learned his name, but I never forgot what he did. He showed me that real strength is not about power or weapons or genetic enhancements. Real strength is about choosing to protect others, even when it costs you everything." Felt tears running down her cheeks. She understood now. Was not fighting for her because she was a princess. He was fighting because that was who he chose to be. He had taken the horror of his past and turned it into something noble. "I am coming with you," she said. "No, you need to stay here and contact your allies. If I fail, you are the only hope for your people." Wanted to argue, but she knew he was right. She was the last of her bloodline. If she died, the loyalists would have nothing to fight for. "Then I will do my part," she said. "I will send the message. I will call my allies to war. And when you come back, we will take back my empire together." Smiled. It was a real smile this time, not the cold expression of a weapon. "That sounds like a good plan." They walked out of the workshop together. The colonists were waiting for them, their faces scared but determined. Danny stepped forward. "What can we do?" he asked. "Help the princess send her message," said. "Protect her while I am gone, and if I do not come back, get everyone underground before the bombardment starts." Danny nodded. "We will, but you better come back. We still need you to fix our tractors." Laughed softly. It was a strange sound, almost forgotten. He had not laughed in a very long time. He walked to the forest where the assassin shuttle was hidden. Watched him go. She wanted to call after him, to say something that would express what she was feeling, but the words would not come. Climbed into the shuttle and powered up the engines. The small craft rose into the sky and disappeared into the clouds. Turned to the colonists. "We have work to do. Find me the strongest transmitter you have." As they hurried to obey, she looked up at the sky one more time. The warship was still there, waiting like a beast ready to strike. "Come back to me," she whispered. "Please come back." Far above guided the shuttle toward the warship. His heart was steady. His mind was clear. He knew that he might die in the next few hours, but for the first time in 20 years he was not afraid. He had spent so long running from what he was. Now he finally understood that being a weapon was not a curse. It was a gift, and gifts were meant to be used for something greater than yourself. The warship grew larger in his view. Thousands of enemies waited inside. The odds were impossible. Smiled and pushed the throttle forward. Impossible had never stopped him before. The shuttle docked with the warship without triggering any alarms. The stolen clearance codes worked perfectly. Stepped out into a massive hangar filled with fighters and soldiers moving about their duties. No one looked at him twice. He had found a uniform on the shuttle. It was too big for his human frame, but in the dim lighting of the hangar, no one noticed. He walked with purpose, like he belonged there. Confidence was often the best disguise. Made his way through the ship's corridors, following the layout he had memorized from the shuttle's computer. The warship was enormous, with over 3,000 crew members on board, but only needed to reach two locations: the weapons control center and the engine room. Disable both, and the ship would be helpless. He reached the weapons control center first. Two guards stood at the door, walked up to them calmly. "Admiral wants additional security on the bridge," he said in perfect. "I am here to relieve you." The guards looked at each other. "We did not receive any orders." "The orders just came through. You can contact the bridge if you want, but the Admiral does not like to be kept waiting." The guards hesitated. That hesitation cost them their lives. Moved faster than they could react. Two quick strikes to their throats and they collapsed silently to the floor. Entered the weapons control center. 6 technicians sat at their consoles, monitoring the targeting systems. They turned when they heard the door open. They died before they could scream. Accessed the main console and began destroying the targeting systems. His fingers flew across the controls, overloading circuits and corrupting software. Within minutes, the entire weapons array was offline. An alarm started blaring throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Had been expecting this. He moved quickly toward the engine room. The corridors were now filled with running soldiers. They knew there was an intruder on board. They just did not know where he was. Moved through them like a ghost, striking down anyone who got too close. He reached the engine room after 10 minutes of fighting. His uniform was torn and covered in blood. Dozens of soldiers lay dead in his wake. But he was wounded too. A plasma burn on his shoulder, a deep cut on his leg. His enhanced body was healing, but not fast enough. The engine room was guarded by 20 elite soldiers in heavy armor. They had barricaded the door and were waiting for him. Did not slow down. He grabbed a fallen soldier's plasma rifle and charged. The battle was brutal. Plasma bolts filled the air, dodged and returned fire, taking down soldier after soldier. But they were landing hits on him too. Each wound slowed him down a little more. When the last soldier fell, could barely stand. His body was broken in a dozen places. Blood was pouring from wounds that refused to close, but he was still alive, and he was in the engine room. He limped to the main reactor and began the overload sequence. The ship's AI screamed warnings but ignored them. In 5 minutes, the engines would explode. The warship would be crippled. A voice came from behind him. "Impressive human. I did not believe the reports, but now I see they were true." Turned, Admiral stood in the doorway, a massive plasma sword in his hands. He was taller than any had faced, with muscles that rippled beneath his uniform. His eyes burned with hatred. "You killed my soldiers," said. "You destroyed my weapons, and now you think you can destroy my ship." "I do not think it," said. "I know it." Charged, his sword came down in a devastating arc, barely managed to dodge. The blade cut through the metal floor like butter. They fought through the engine room, exchanging blows that would have killed ordinary beings. Was faster and stronger than any opponent had faced. He was the result of generations of genetic perfection, bred specifically for combat. But had something did not have. He had the will of a man with nothing left to lose. Took a hit that should have killed him. Sword pierced his chest, barely missing his heart, but did not fall. He grabbed the blade with both hands and pulled closer. "You made a mistake," whispered through bloody teeth. "You gave me something worth dying for." He headbutted with all his remaining strength. The admiral stumbled backward, ripped the sword from his own chest and drove it through his throat. The admiral fell. The leader of the coup, the murderer of princesses, died with a look of disbelief on his face. Collapsed beside him. The reactor was counting down. 3 minutes until the engines exploded. He needed to reach an escape pod. He crawled through the corridors, leaving a trail of blood behind him. Soldiers ran past him, fleeing the doomed ship. No one stopped to finish him off. They were too busy saving themselves. Found an escape pod and launched himself into space. He watched through the window as the warship's engines exploded. The vessel broke apart, falling toward the planet's moon in pieces. He closed his eyes and let the darkness take him. On the planet below, watched the warship die. Tears streamed down her face as she saw the explosion light up the sky. She did not know if it was alive or dead. Her transmission had worked. Loyalist ships were already on their way. The coup was beginning to crumble, but none of it mattered if it was gone. "Search the wreckage," she ordered. "Find him. Find any escape pods. Find him now." The colonists launched every ship they had. They searched through the debris for hours. As the sun began to set, Danny's voice crackled over the radio. "We found him. He is alive. Barely." His heart nearly stopped. "Bring him home." They brought back to the colony. His body was broken beyond belief. Any normal being would have died 10 times over, but his enhanced physiology refused to give up. Sat by his bed for 3 days while he healed. She held his hand and talked to him, even though he could not hear her. On the 4th day, opened his eyes. "Did we win?" he asked. His voice was weak but clear. Smiled through her tears. "We won. The Loyalist fleet arrived yesterday. The coup is falling apart. My people are rising up across the empire." Nodded slowly. "Good, that is good." "You saved us all," said. "You saved everyone." Looked at her with tired eyes. "I just did what I promised. I defended you." Leaned close to him. "And now I will defend you. Whatever happens next, wherever this path takes us, you will not face it alone." Smiled. It was a real smile, warm and full of hope. "That sounds nice," he said. "I have been alone for a very long time." Squeezed his hand. "Not anymore." Outside the window, the colonists were rebuilding. The threat was over. The war was won. And a princess had found something she never expected to find on a primitive human world. She had found a protector, a warrior, a friend. She had found a human with the heart of a hero and the strength of a monster. And together, they would change the galaxy. Looked at as he drifted back to sleep. She remembered the question she had asked him on that first night. "Can you defend me, human?" She had no idea what she was asking, no idea what secrets he was hiding. But now she knew the truth. Humans were not the weak, simple creatures her people believed them to be. They were something far more powerful. They were beings who chose kindness over cruelty, peace over war, love over hatred. And when they had something worth protecting, they became unstoppable. That was the secret of humanity. That was what made them terrifying. And that was what made them beautiful.